All right, guys, now let us move to the next part where we are going to show data on the UI. In the previous video, we have successfully fetched the data, right? I hope you did watch the previous one. Okay, over here we have the data. And yeah, now before moving ahead and showing the data on the UI, I just want to keep this code, make this code a little clean. So what I decided is to let us move this particular piece of code outside the use effect. Okay, so you can write it like this over here, and then your use effect will only be responsible for calling this particular function. All right, now we need to basically, we just can't assume that things would be fine. So there we are not over here, we are not handling any error, or we are not providing any loading indicator, right? We just can't assume that we are going to simply come over our app and it will start fetching the UI. It will start fetching the books data. There can be many issues, like let's say your internet connection is weak. In that case, what we just can't show a blank screen, right? We need to show something to improve the user experience. So for that, we can show either a loading indicator, which we are going to do in this video, or you can simply show text stating loading and three dots. Or if you want your app to look more polished, you can show those uh, what do we say shimmer effect, right? So you can google about what shimmer effect is, and definitely you can show that as well. Now let us improve this function. So the very first thing that we are going to do is we are going to let's create states. So the first one would be books, set books, and we are going to use state, and initially the data would be empty. So books is the state that is going to hold our data that we are fetching from the backend, and set books is something, it is a setter function which will update our state. So in React, this is how things work. And for another state, we are going to use loading and set loading. Okay, and initially it would be true, or initially it should be false, right? Because once we start fetching the data, only then we are going to show the loading indicator. And then we have another state which is the error state, and initially it would be null, because initially we won't be having any error until we complete our fetch call. So yeah, now let us start using these states, and first we need to wrap this inside a try catch block like this, and paste the code over here like this. And also we are going to have a finally block like this. Cool, we are gonna work with these three blocks. Now inside the try block, what is going to happen is like the use effect, once the component renders, the use effect will get fired after it renders, and it will call our fetch books method, which basically talks to the Supabase server, right? And once we call that, so before that we need to show the loading indicator. So we will set it to true, because initially it was false, right? So we are gonna set it to true, and once we have it, we are going to set another state, and we are going to pass a response inside it. So whatever response is coming, we are going to use set books to update our book state, so that we can show that book's data on the UI. Cool, now let us move ahead, and what else we can do is, yeah, inside this sketch we basically we can log the error. If you want to see what error we have, and error, or you can write error.message as well. I guess it has a message property. Let us just log error only. And inside this, finally what you're going to do is you're gonna do set loading as false, because once the data has arrived, we are no longer showing the loading indicator, right? Or let's say the data hasn't arrived, but there is something went wrong. In that case also, we are not gonna show loading indicator, we need to show the error, the exact error itself. But we need to update the state as well. So set error, and we're not gonna pass the error like this. All right, so our this particular function has been improved a lot. Okay, update book state, you can write your own comments like this. And now what we need to do is we need to add the guard clauses. So let's say if there is a loading going on, we are gonna return an activity indicator. And this activity indicator, this is a default component of React Native itself. Okay, so you can basically it has three probes, I guess. Color, so let's say you pass red, and it has size as well. I'm gonna use the large one. Cool. So if it is loading, we are gonna show a loading indicator, and similarly if some error comes out, then we are going to return error. And the color of this error, let's say it is red. All right, now let us start fetching our data. Okay, let us first see if we see the loading indicator or not. Yeah, you might have noticed we had a red colored loading indicator, right? So yeah, this is cool, and it went away. Why? Because we fetched our data successfully right here in the console. So now let us show that in on our UI as well. So for that we are gonna use Flatlist, which is again a component by React Native itself. It has basically many probes, but two probes are mandatory. Data probe, in which we use supply your array that needs to be rendered. So in our case, it is books, right? And then we have a render item function, which basically returns a JSX that basically renders on the UI, like how you are going to display your books. So let us pass a function and let us return a simple view for now. And inside this view we are gonna render text. So here we can pass whatever data we have access to. So you can extract your data like this over here. Okay, you can extract this inside this render item method only. So this particular item is now one object inside our array. You remember our data, right? So each we have a big array, and inside that array we have multiple objects, and each item is now an object. So what you can do is, or let me show you one. This particular thing is I'm talking about. Okay, this is the item, and now this has item dot title, so we can simply render it like this, and there you go, we have our book data rendered on the UI. Now it is not just limited to your console logs, right? We are able to show it on the UI. And if you're doing it for the first time, I know you must be finding it very exciting. Though we can add more styles to it, and that we are going to do that in a while. But for now, let us just understand what all things we did right here. Okay. So yeah, first again, let me just recap. We had our three states: books, loading, and error. Books is basically initially it would be empty, and once we have our data, we are going to use this setter method to update our book state. And how do we update our book state? By using this setter method, and we pass the data that we fetch from our backend inside this setter method. So now this books variable, it will hold the data that comes from the backend, and now you pass this books variable to your flat list like this. And this render item, it would just return a JSX like this. It can be as complex as you want, it can be as simpler as this one. Cool. And of course, this here we can get index as well. If you are from a web background, you must definitely be knowing about indexes, but we don't need it as of now. So let us just deal with item. And of course here are our guard clause, which is in case of loading we are going to show a loading indicator, and in case of error we are going to show the error itself. Now let us see how we can mimic a error as well. So let's say I'm trying to fetch from a table that doesn't even exist. So let's say like this. Okay, so now it is showing us some error. Why? Because we are not throwing the error. So let us throw the error like this, error dot message. And now inside our home screen we also need to write error.message, and there you go, we have error on the screen, though this is not what we show to the user, but this how you can handle the errors, okay, in when you are building the application. So there can be error of many type. Let's say you can your string could be wrong. So see, you might get such kind of errors. So this is how you can handle the errors. So let me just keep it clean again. It's books. Okay, I think we need to refresh the app again. Okay, so many terminals, let me close them. Yeah, we have our books again ready on the UI. So this was the basics of how we can fetch and show data. All right, we are going to improve this UI and render more data in the upcoming videos. But I hope you did like this one. If you did, do not forget to subscribe the channel and share it with your friends. And also do not forget to comment on this particular video if you have any doubts. I would definitely have you clear them.